Government does not treat wealth like a number. It treats wealth like a doorway. At the bottom, government meets you through expired IDs, waiting rooms missing documents, late fees, and forms written for people who already know what they are doing. In the middle, it meets you through taxes, compliance audits, licenses, payroll, and penalties. Near the top, it meets you through fundraisers, advisory councils, draft legislation, and private calls from people whose names appear on buildings. And at the very top, government does not simply regulate you anymore. It negotiates with you. So let's start at the level where government says it serves everyone, and watch what happens when everyone includes someone with nothing. Level 1. The invisible citizen. You are 22 years old, sleeping behind a public library, carrying an expired ID, a cracked phone at 12% battery, and a business card from a politician's son who will forget your face before the news segment even airs. The shelter where you have been sleeping for 7 months is being demolished next week. The city says the building is unsafe. The developer says the new mixed-use project will bring jobs. The councilman says this is what progress looks like when a neighborhood finally gets investment. You sign up for public comment because it is the one thing government lets you do for free. When your name is called, you stand up too fast. Your backpack slides off one shoulder. The clerk asks for photo ID. You hand over the only one you have. Expired. She apologizes without looking cruel, which somehow makes it worse. Rules are rules. You are sent back to your seat. Outside, Marcus Whitfield. The third, 24. Harvard son of the councilman who supports the demolition spots the news camera before he spots you. He walks over, tilts his head like he is listening, waits 11 seconds, recites a housing statistic he memorized in the car, and presses a card into your hand. Gold seal. Thick paper. If there's anything I can do. That night, the news blurs your face. Standard practice. Marcus's face is clear. The shelter comes down Tuesday. 3 nights later, you sit in the library parking lot charging your cracked phone through an outlet behind a vending machine, Googling how to build an app. You are visible as suffering and invisible as a citizen in equal measure. At $0, government does not ask what you need. It asks what document you are missing. Level 2, the filer. You are the first-time filer who taught yourself to code on library computers, got a $17 an hour help desk job, filed your first W-2, and discovered that becoming legal costs more than breaking rules you never meant to break. 18 months after the shelter came down, you work for a property management company in a building with glass doors and a logo you recognize too well. The company manages the development that replaced the place where you used to sleep. Every morning, you swipe into work 3 blocks from the sidewalk where Marcus handed you that card. Your first W-2 arrives in January. You open it like it is a diploma. You use the free government filing tool because free is still your favorite price. It crashes twice. You re-enter your wages, your address, your routing number, your life. Refund $1,143. For one full afternoon, you feel rich. Then, a state notice arrives. You owe $340 for freelance coding work, quarterly estimated payments. You have never heard those words before. Nobody hands you a guide with your first paycheck. The government sends instructions after the mistake has already become billable. The office moves to a suburb with no bus line, so you need a driver's license. The DMV asks for a birth certificate proof of residence and a social security card. Your card was stolen. Replacement takes 6 to 8 weeks. 3 trips, 2 missed shifts, 1 fee to replace the document, another fee to prove you are the person the document says you are. The license costs $35. Getting the license costs nearly a week of wages. At night, you build an app that helps people navigate benefit applications, tax notices, housing forms, and agency websites that look like they were designed to punish urgency. 200 users find it in the first month. They arrive through the same desperate searches you once typed on 12% battery. Then, a local agency sends a cease and desist letter. Your app may create confusion about official government services. You change the homepage in giant letters, not a government website. You are becoming legitimate and being punished for not knowing the rules in equal measure. At this level, government works like a locked door with instructions printed on the other side. Level 3, the taxpayer. You are the founder with employees, investors, a tax strategist, a company valuation that makes you a millionaire on paper, and a checking account that still flinches every time another government notice arrives. The app grows because the problem grows. Small businesses begin using it to manage compliance forms, licenses, payroll notices, and filings across different agencies. A venture fund invests. You incorporate. You hire 2 employees, then 10, then 18. For the first time, government does not treat you like someone who needs help. It treats you like an entity. There is an LLC filing, a registered agent, state franchise tax, payroll registration, workers' compensation, local business licenses. Your accountant who costs more than your first car finds deductions you never knew existed. Home office mileage, equipment depreciation, health insurance premiums. These deductions were always available. Nobody at the Free Filing Center explained them, because free help is built for simple returns, and simple returns are usually the ones with nothing valuable to deduct. The tax code is public in the same way a locked library is public. The building exists, the books are inside, but someone still has to give you the key. You apply for a government contract. The RFP is 90 pages. It requires a security audit diversity certification insurance minimums and 3 references from previous government clients. You have 0 because this would be your first. So you partner with a larger firm that already has the right credentials. They take 30% of the contract value for doing almost nothing except having existed longer than you. At a small business roundtable, a deputy secretary asks what government can do. You say simplify compliance for companies under 50 employees. A staffer hands you a pamphlet about existing programs. On television that night, Marcus Whitfield III, now an elected official, says America needs to make it easier for entrepreneurs to succeed. You look at your tax bill. You look at your audit insurance. You look at the Gold Seal business card in your desk drawer. You are more successful and more dependent on interpreters in equal measure. The tax code is technically public, but at this level, public does not mean reachable. Audience interaction segment. Before we move higher, pause for a second. Which version of government have you personally met? The office that asks for one more document, the tax form you did not understand, or the rule that only made sense after you paid someone to explain it? Drop the level you recognize most in the comments, because this story is not really about money yet. It is about which door you were allowed to use. Level 4, the insider. You are the donor whose company now affects an entire industry, whose lobbyist is called a strategic advisor, whose policy suggestions appear months later in regulatory language, and whose name elected officials suddenly pronounce correctly. Your company raises a Series A, then a Series B. It acquires a competitor. Your net worth crosses 10 million, then 100 million. Most of it illiquid equity that banks treat as real and tax agencies treat as complicated. Your salary is ordinary income. Your wealth is stock. That difference matters. Wages are taxed one way. Long-term capital gains are taxed another. So your tax team restructures compensation, charitable giving option timing, and liquidity events with the precision of surgeons. Nothing illegal, nothing hidden, just architecture. The same government that once charged you fees for missing documents now rewards you for having professionals who know which provisions matter. You hire a lobbyist, though nobody in the room uses that word first. Strategic advisor sounds cleaner. Public policy consultant sounds civic. Stakeholder engagement sounds like democracy with better catering. For $15,000 a month, your advisor makes sure that when agencies draft rules affecting your industry, someone from your company is in the room before the public knows there is a room. You join a policy advisory council, 30 executives, senior staffers, no cameras, no vote, no headline. 3 months later, you read proposed regulatory language and recognize a phrase from your own slide deck. The rule was not bought, it was shaped. That distinction matters legally. It matters morally too, but in a less comfortable way. A privacy bill threatens to cost your company millions in engineering changes. Your advisor arranges a meeting with the bill sponsor's chief of staff. 2 weeks later, the draft includes a carve-out for companies your size. The small firms beneath you will pay the full cost. You know this because you used to be one. Then, you testify before a Senate committee. Marcus sits behind a nameplate. A staffer whispers into his ear. For the first time, he learns your name before you speak. You are finally heard, and quietly ashamed that being heard has a price in equal measure. Access is not the opposite of bureaucracy. It is bureaucracy with a private entrance. Level 5. The infrastructure. You are the billionaire whose company processes government filings, hosts campaign websites, employs thousands across swing districts, reviews, draft legislation, before the public sees it and receives calls from officials who once would have sent you to a waiting room. At this level, government does not only regulate your company, it depends on it. Federal agencies license your platform because their own systems cannot move fast enough. State governments use your tools to process small business filings. Campaigns run on cloud infrastructure your engineers maintain. Your compliance database becomes the quiet plumbing beneath thousands of public transactions. When your lobbyist calls a senator's office now, the call is returned within the hour. Not only because you donate, because your company employs thousands of people across districts where a few thousand votes can decide an election. Job losses are not just economic events. They are political weather. You did not design employment as leverage. It became leverage automatically. A congressional investigation asks whether companies like yours have become too powerful. You arrive with 7 lawyers and a prepared statement. A junior congressman asks whether your company pays its fair share. You answer with jobs, federal taxes, public contracts, cybersecurity standards, infrastructure resilience, and the percentage of government filings your platform helps process. The answer is long enough to sound responsible and specific enough to avoid the question. The investigation produces a report recommending further study. Nothing changes. You establish a $200 million foundation for digital literacy in the neighborhood where the shelter once stood. The charity is real. The tax benefit is real. Both things are true at the same time. A new digital community center opens on the ground floor of the mixed-use development that replaced your bed. Federal grant. Your platform. Marcus Whitfield's name on the plaque. Your company's logo on the screen. Then Marcus, now Senate Majority Leader, requests a private meeting. He arrives at your office with one aide. He is polished, careful, deferential, in a way he never needed to be when you were 22. He wants your endorsement for a technology infrastructure bill. $40 billion in public spending. Much of it would flow through platforms like yours. He explains the bill. He explains the stakes. He finishes with 5 words. We can't do this without you. You open the desk drawer and place the old business card on the table. Gold seal. Frayed edges. 2 decades of wear. If there's anything I can do. Marcus looks at it and does not recognize it. You gave me this outside a shelter your father helped demolish, you say. I was 22. His expression changes not into shame exactly, but into calculation. A piece of his past has become expensive. You endorse the bill anyway, not because he asked, but because it funds digital infrastructure in neighborhoods like the one where you were homeless. Your company will build part of it. Your foundation will staff part of it. Your tax structure will benefit from part of it. You are solving public problems and profiting from public dependency in equal measure. At $100 billion, government does not simply govern you, it negotiates with the parts of itself that now run through you. At level 1, you could not speak at a city council meeting because your ID had expired. At level 5, one of the most powerful people in government sits across from you and asks for cooperation. The law did not change. The price of reaching it did. That is the uncomfortable truth underneath this entire ladder. Citizenship may be equal on paper, but access is priced by wealth. At the bottom, you wait, appeal, reapply, resubmit, and hope someone opens the correct window. In the middle, you pay professionals to translate rules that were technically available all along. Near the top, you are invited to comment before the comment period begins. At the very top, government no longer sees you as a subject of policy. It sees you as part of the infrastructure policy must pass through. So here is the question. When you imagine becoming rich, are you imagining freedom from the rules or access to the room where the rules are written?